What I'm going to demonstrate for you is how well this works on a lawn. I'll check back in about 10 to 15 days and show you the results of what I'm about to do here. Every week we go in and we patronize them, and in turn, they wind up giving us their coffee grounds.
Hi guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Sweet girl.
Oh boy.
Are we doing a 12 and a 16? 2 16s, 2 12s?
2 16s?
2 16s, anything else?
Any grounds? Yes.
Got it. Here you go, my dear.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We wind up probably collecting somewhere in the neighborhood of about a half a dozen bags at least per week. It's a very valuable resource and one that I would hate to see get wasted. It's very high in nitrogen and is a rich organic material that can be utilized in a number of different ways. I think it's important to note before you start adding coffee grounds as a fertilizer or an amendment to your soil, have a good understanding of what your soil pH is. Spent coffee grounds have a pH of 6.9 to 6.2, which makes them only slightly acidic, but in soil that's already acidic, that may not be the best choice. So if you have plants that are acid loving, if you have soil that is neutral to slightly trending toward basic or highly basic, coffee grounds are probably an excellent choice as a slow release fertilizer. But again, just do your research on your particular situation. I'm going to use 4 of these bags in an area the size of 400 square feet to demonstrate how well this can green up your lawn. Spreading this with a hand spreader would be a lot more evenly distributed. However, mine happens to be broken, so I'm going to just go ahead and hand broadcast this out. Another area in which this gets used, and probably the most frequent, is in the compost yard as a compostable organic material. Spent coffee grounds has both macro and micronutrients. It's said to have about 2% nitrogen, with potassium and phosphorus coming in at about 0.5%. A lot of different opinions on how much of this you should actually put in. I tend to side on a little bit less rather than going overboard. So for about every 10 wheelbarrow loads or so that I bring in here, I'll add 3 to 4 bags, and those are 5-pound bags. So I tend to try to side a little bit on the less rather than more, so I'm not overdoing it. And this compost is going to have a significant amount of time to be worked by the hens and broken down by all the soil life before it comes out of here. I wind up, generally speaking, with a pretty balanced compost as a finished product. Chickens like to snack on this too occasionally, so it's nothing that they overdo, but they'll come in and get a little caffeine break. I would say that 95% of all the coffee grounds we bring onto the property come directly through this compost yard. I think that that's the best bang for the buck for us here because we do generate so much compost. It gives us an opportunity to enhance the compost that we're making, but it mellows out over time before it leaves here. I'll show you some of the other areas in which I do utilize it. One of the places that I will utilize coffee grounds at least a few times a year is in my worm bucket, which lives in my raised garden bed. And it's no more than just a 5-gallon bucket with holes drilled in it where the worms can travel freely in and out of this bucket. So right now it's summertime, it's been very warm, and the worms travel deeper into the beds in the summertime, but they will return in the fall when the temperatures lower, and they will live in there in the wintertime and up and through the spring. And all of the scraps that I put in here, whether they be food scraps or vegetable scraps or coffee grounds or just weeds that I pull out of these beds, get put into here, which is worm food, and they will consume that, and then what they leave behind is black gold. I'll add a little bit of coffee grounds in preparation for their return. Because they don't have teeth, what they have is similar to a chicken. They have a gizzard, and they'll take and ingest these coffee grounds and utilize that to help them process food. Another really effective way to utilize excess coffee grounds is by using them as livestock bedding. We use them for not only our chicken coop, but we use them in areas where we have our pigs and bedding for cattle as well. We use 3 separate sources here on the property. We use wood chips, we use sawdust that we get free of charge from a local mill, and we have an abundance of coffee grounds, which we like to incorporate in with our biochar. I've just cleaned out one of my chicken coops, and let me show you how it is that I layer some of this material in. Now, the first layer of this, I'll put a pretty healthy dose of coffee grounds, and then on top of that's going to go biochar. On top of the coffee grounds and biochar, I wind up capping it with some kind of carbonaceous source, either wood chips or shavings, as you see here. Get that in place and we're good for another couple of months. Another really good use of coffee grounds is using it as an exfoliant added to soap products. And Rebecca makes a lot of soaps, and some of those soaps she adds coffee grounds to. And a little bit of that goes a really long way. Let me show you over here some of the soaps that she's made.
So these are the 3 that I have coffee grounds in. This one has just a small amount, just gives it some nice texture, as well as this one. This is kind of a coffee scented, and I was trying to get it to look more like a latte. Yeah,
this one here, that one there I really like. It's got a lot more coffee grounds in it, and it, I don't know, I just like the way it feels on my skin. But another great use for coffee grounds, something that would ordinarily be thrown away and thrown directly into the garbage can. And this one over here is making soap with it. So how did we fare on the lawn experiment? I will say this, that my lines as far as where I put the coffee grounds down aren't clearly defined, but this entire area is far more green than that direction and that direction. There's a lot of clover in here. There's a lot of other types of grasses that are just a lot more vibrant, a lot more thick, lush, and healthy, and they're doing quite well. It's been 14 days at this point, and this is a slow release type of a treatment, and it's going to continue to benefit this lawn over time. Let me show you a little bit closer up what I'm talking about. This is pretty representative of what the majority of my lawn looks like. And as you pan forward, you can see the area that's been treated here. And again, the lines aren't very well defined with me just hand broadcasting that, but it's definitely a lot more rich and vibrant in color. As I come out of this zone, you can see what the lawn looks like again. Based on this experiment, I think that coffee grounds could probably serve as a pretty effective alternative to inorganic fertilizers if you're looking to possibly green up your lawn. There's a tremendous amount of things out there that people do with coffee grounds. These are just a few of our favorites. If you have a favorite, leave it in the comments section, and please consider subscribing to this channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.